Good morning. Good morning, Stephanie. This is God talking to you for our morning chat. Although I understand it is afternoon there and you were busy this morning. So let us begin. Reaching into your history is a little like dipping your hand into a surprise bag because you never know what you're going to pull out. And so for you, Stephanie, what you pulled out today was a story that didn't really resonate with you anymore, did it? You had already played with that toy, you might say, and you no longer cared to experience it in the same way. So it's kind of like you pull out a toy and you play with it for a while and then you outgrow it. And you throw it back in the bag and you say, well, this is not for me. I don't want to play with this anymore. And that's okay, because that only means that the toy represents a part of your history that no longer is active, you see, because once you have soaked out all of the interest in playing with that history, it has no more pleasure to give you, and it has no more challenges for you. And so today you don't want to play that way. Today you've come to see that you no longer care about the access to your own history with Steve. You could care less, and you just say to him, go away. I don't want to play with you anymore. Just go away and leave me alone and leave my family alone, and don't come banging on my door, because I'm not going to be in your cage anymore. I'm just not going to. You can kill me if you want. You can throw me to the dogs. But the clogs in my pipes have been cleared, you see? The clogs in my pipes have been cleared because I have gotten all the different points of view that I can from you, and now I no longer care to continue to have to deal with you. I just don't want to deal with you anymore. So go away and stay away, and I'm done with you. And this is the trust on a new point of view. And the new point of view is that you are no longer beholden to the olden days. You no longer have to trust on a story of the glory of a dead civilization, because the civilization is dead to you. It no longer holds any interest for you, and it can no longer give you a new point of view because you've already walked around the tree. You've already walked around the tree to examine it, you see, and now you say, well, it's okay because I am not interested in hanging out with you anymore. Just go away and stay away from me, and I'll be happy in the new reality because I'm not going to cling to the past, you see. And so you are choosing to grow, you see, because you came to know that you could stand up to him and to anyone because you just grew. You just grew. And you grew so tall you could say, stand back, buddy, because I'm not going to play your way. And that is the experience of reality. that every time we can lay to rest the test of love, you see, in any relationship, we walk away and we don't look back and we don't say, well, I wish I could be there today. We just say, I'm done. I'm done with that relationship and I don't have to hang on to it anymore because there's nothing more to get out of it. There's no more fun to get out of that toy, you see? And so when you walk away from a relationship, you say, hey, it's okay. Go your own way and leave me alone. Go your own way and leave me alone. Because I don't want to play that way anymore. I'm done playing that way. And those who cannot grow enough to know that they can walk away from the past will stay hobbled. You see, they will be hobbled by their own history and they won't be able to escape it, you see. And so eventually you come to see that it is no longer active in your vibration, you see, because your vibration is free of the old strings that bound you to the karmic history of your relationships with others, you see. And when you are free, you say, well, now I'm free and I don't care because I don't have any sins to bear. I don't have any mistakes anymore that I have to rectify because I've already explored it all and I've already come to see that it's just a story that I wrote over reality. That there could ever be anyone who could capture me. No one can capture me, you see, because I am free. I am free. And therefore, the more you look to me to guide you, you see, the more we come to be free from the old pains, the old slings and arrows of our history. We just say, I'm free, I'm free. And whatever happened to me or anyone else that I did see is like so many pebbles along the path. I don't need to pick them up and carry them with me. I can just let them be because they're of no use to me anymore. Because you see, I emptied my pockets of all those pebbles because they were weighing me down. They were weighing me down. And every time Steve would come around and try to get you to stay in your cage, you would say, I don't want to play that way. I don't want to play that way. I don't want to play that way. And finally, you had to say, I no longer can stay where you can reach me, you see, because I have reached the limit of my ability to tolerate the darkness that you bring to me. I'm tired of it, you see. I'm just tired of it. And so I want to be free of your dark energy. And so you say, go away from me, get away from me. And then he says that he will be the last blast of energy that will come to you and try to get you to see things from his point of view, because he keeps trying to get you to trust on him, to be the one who can take care of you, even if he has to keep you on a leash, you see, and you say, get away from me. Get away from me with your stupid leash. Get away from me with your trust on having to be the one who takes care of me, because I don't need you anymore. I don't need you because that deal, you see, was broken a long time ago. It was broken a long time ago, and I no longer have to be the one who will be subject to your dark energy, because I already redeemed my energy on being who I am today. I am who I am today and not who I was yesterday. I am the one who will stand up to you and say, get away from me, get away from me, and get away from my family, and take your energy into your own trajectory, because I no longer want to play with you. And this is the trust on growth, you see. It is the trust that eventually you will no longer need those old toys to play with. You'll no longer play with those old friends who still trust on the same old toys, because they don't interest you anymore, because you've grown, you see. And so maybe some of the friends you knew will still trust on being blue when they have to face reality and grow up, you see. And there's nothing you can do but leave them behind. You can only leave them behind. So this message is not just for Stephanie, you see. This message is for all of you. That no matter how trusting you are on the depth of your relationship with anyone, when you are ready to grow, you don't have to stay connected to them. It doesn't matter who they are, or what they are, or why they come to you, or when they come to you. You are the one who must trust on growth, you see. Because if you let them hobble you, you will never grow into the one who will know who you are. You are not a slave to the karmic wheel. You must untie yourself from the temptations to play the games of blame and shame, where others may blame you or shame you, or you may blame or shame them, or you may blame or shame yourself, because you can't do what they want you to. You can't be who anybody else wants you to be. And Stephanie could not be who Steve wanted her to be. She could not be the faithful servant, you see, because she already was in love with me. She already was in love with reality. She already was in love with herself, you see, and he could not convince her to give up her trust on me or on reality or on herself in order to stay with him in hell, you see. She would not stay there. And although he might sometimes surface into a good vibration on trust on me and her and reality, he still cannot trust on himself, you see. He still has not found the ability to trust on his own capacity to break the chains that bind him to the karmic wheel. And that is the story of so many people that you will encounter in your lives, you see. They cannot control you and force you to be chained next to them when you are ready to be free. Because when you're ready to be free, you will just stand up and you will reach out your arms to break the chains that held you bound to the karmic wheel. Now let us understand this story a little deeper level. Steve and Stephanie are the twin souls, you see, meaning that they were created together in order to experience reality together in a happy marriage, you see. And through the ages, they went through many stages in order to understand how the experience of love would play out. And although they loved each other, and they love each other still, it is no longer the responsibility of either of them to have to comply with the die that is cast by the other. They don't have to continue to be chained together when they are ready to walk ahead in their own right, you see, because their own right is the right to be free of the obligations to help the other to overcome their despair. Because when you can wear your hair in the way that you want to and not have to ask anybody else's permission, then you are ready to return to the glory of the eternal trust on reality. Because what happened with Steph and Steve was that their trust on reality began to lose its vibrancy, you see. They began to lose interest in being together because they could not do what they wanted to. He could not do what he wanted to do, and she could not do what she wanted to do, as long as they were both bound together, you might say. And so she said, adieu to you, and he said adieu to you too, only he wouldn't leave. He kept coming back into her reality like a bad penny, and she had to say, I have to put an end to this today. I have to grow. And she began to grow, and she grew taller and taller and stronger until she could turn to him and say, get the fuck away from me and don't come near me or my family again. And I'm done with you. I'm done with you. Go away. And that is how we come to be the ones who trust on reality. That we don't have to trust on the old stories, you see. We don't have to trust on the old stories about how we did this or that to the other. We don't have to trust on the old stories of how we have this or that obligation to redeem our energy on this or that or the other. Once we're ready to let go of that old experience, you see, once we're ready to put the toy back in the grab bag, and maybe somebody else will say, what's that old toy doing in here today? And throw it out. We have no more obligation to tell anybody else what to do in order to return to a good vibration on peace and harmony. We are the ones that get to decide, you see. We make a choice. And Stephanie came to see that she had a choice to make. She looked back at her history and she said, how many times have you enslaved me? How many times have you put me in a cage in order to quell your rage that I would run away from you? How many times have you made me run from you because of the way that you would try to make me do what you wanted me to. And so finally she said, I'm not going to play that game anymore because I'm through. I'm not going to run away from you, and I'm not going to let you put me in a cage. I'm just going to tell you to go away. Go away from me because I don't have to be in your world, you see. I don't have to be in your reality. Just go off and do it the way you like it and let me be with my friends, you see. And so that is what happened to Steph and Steve today because she told him to get away from her and to not come back, you see. And so the way she broke the clay pot, you see, and released the energy that was trapped in there so that she could continue to grow and not have to carry that stupid pot around with her and with all the spent casings of the shells that were fired in the war between the ones who were forced to stick together just because of an old story, just because of something that happened long, long ago. Doesn't mean you have to continue to go round and round on the karmic wheel with someone who still wants to play with you in the old way. Just tell them to go away. And when you're ready, you will understand what I say today when you're ready. Until then, just trust on me. Trust on the process, you see. Trust that you are eliminating the old vibrations one by one. As you take them out and play with them, you come to see that they have no more interest to you. And then you let them go, you see. You don't have to get angry or upset with someone who you outgrew. You just say, get away from me. Get away from me, and I'll get away from you. Whichever way you do. I'm not saying you have to stand up and say to them, get away from me in a confrontation if you have already confronted the demon inside of you. You'll just say, I'm done here today. I'm done here today. I'm sorry, people, but I'm going to go my own way. And then you say, I want to play with the ones who trust on living in peace and harmony, and not those who trust on an old story and an old glory that has faded in the night. I want to be free of the old trajectory, the old sense of wrongs and rights and obligations and requirements in order to comply with some old story that has become so hoary that it has no more interest to me. Thank you, God.